Hello you lovely people and welcome. In this video we're going to be taking a look at navigation and autopilot in the CJ Simulations Rafale C/M. Now as you can see I've got a flight plan all laid out here, taken off from Coningsby up to FN26 to Rogag, Otbed, DO70M and then back into Coningsby. So it's a nice short little circuit, shouldn't take too long. So this will be the flight plan part of navigation, and I'll show you how you can follow that in the aircraft. So let's jump in. Now we've just got to get the aircraft configured and ready for the flight. As you can see, we've got GPS already fed into the autopilot for when we need it, or navigational aids, so that will give us a pointer of where we need to go, how far away we are, and the name of our waypoint. You also see we've got a waypoint marker here. It looks like it's buried at the moment, but once we're in the air that won't matter. Got all our information down there for it as well. Another thing we can do is just change the map, stick the radar on, and we can stick flight plan. Just wait for it to load in. Ping, and there's our flight plan. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the autopilot on the left hand DDI. We're going to be flying this on autopilot, so I'm going to set in an altitude of 2,500. Actually no, I'll set for 3,000. And once I'm in the air I'll get the autopilot all set up and we'll follow the flight plan. So we're going to get the brakes off, toe brakes on, and throttling up. I'm not going to go mad with the throttle. Brakes off. Rotate it around about 130 knots, get us off the ground. And there we go, gear up. Okay, the flubber wire's kicked in now, so don't have to worry about the trim. We can set our autopilot into the green, altitude select, and I want nav to make that green, so that'll follow the flight plan. Velocity we want on, but I want to change that to hold at 250 knots. Okay. And we hit the green arrow, and now we'll hold at 250. As you can see, everything's lit up here. We've got vertical speed because we're climbing, nav because we're following the flight plan, altitude select because that is what is selected out of the three. There is terrain following at the top, but that currently doesn't work. Well, not implemented anyway. I'm not going to land at Coningsby, I'm just going to do the flight plan loop, and we'll get on to looking at the autopilot properly, and then some good old-fashioned navigation using VORs, TACANs, and then we'll do an ILS landing. Okay, we're at Rogag. We're now going to turn onto Otbed. I thought I'd speed it up slightly, 350 knots, which is the cruise speed of the Rafale. So might as well use that. To D070M now, which is our initial point before Coningsby. waypoint marker has settled in the direction we need to go. I'm getting beaten by a 10 knot side wind, hence the reason why the datum's slightly off to the left. Coningsby over there. There we go, we're turning on to EGXC now. Well, there you go. That's how you fly a flight plan in the CJ Simulations Rafale. Pretty simple, and as long as you've got it all fed in correctly, Autopilot will get you there, and the guidance will show you where to go. So that is that for this portion of the nav side of things. Let's get on to basic navigation and autopilot functioning. Okay, so we're going to start off with the autopilot functioning first. So you can see we're cruising around about 900 feet, 350 knots. Okay, so come over to the left DDI where I have autopilot page up and running. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. That will hold our heading and attitude. So we'll keep a steady climb and we'll stay on 252. Okay, now we want to change our altitude. Now I want to climb up to 2,000 feet. It automatically sets at 5,000. So we can change that to 2,000. Actually, yeah, 2,500, why not? And then we click altitude select. And you'll see altitude select shows there, heading there. And we're climbing. The speed, if I throttle back, let's bleed some speed in the climb. Okay. And now I want to change my speed to something else. Click here, make it green. We get our little indicator box at the top there of what we can have if we select velocity. We can also do it in Mach 0.51, and we can change all of that here, and then click the green arrow, it will become active. Come over to V, I'm hoping that stands for velocity. You can see we've got 250 in there, so if we hit the green arrow, the engines will shut down. 250 has been selected, and it will just coast until we get to 250, and then it will hold that speed. This bit at the top here is all for flight planning that I'm going to add to another video, so just ignore these, pretend they're not there for the moment. Now heading hold, if we change the heading direction, the heading bug there, we stick that, I don't know, I'll go to 340. Okay. 340 has been selected. There's the marker. And we're lining up with the marker. I'm guessing it's taking in wind direction and speed into account, hence the reason why we're not bang on 340, as we have 22 knot side wind, so obviously being blown slightly. So yeah, that covers that portion of the autopilot. Now we have a nav button. Now this nav button is used by the navigational functions here, and it also has one here. These two do the same thing, so no matter what we do, we cycle through them. it will change the screen on the DDI, and also change the information fed into the autopilot. So go back to GPS. If we go to TACAN, actually we'll leave TACAN till last because I'm going to do an ILS landing at Coningsby. So we go to VOR. I'm going to use my usual suspects because if you keep things simple, then it makes life a lot easier. So I'm going to use Ottringham. Come to COM, go to Nav, click here, and we're going to put in the frequency for Ottringham, which is 113.90. Don't need to put the zeros in. Click enter, and you can see we all get an automatic bearing when it's in mag. Go to OBS, we get our course deviation indicator, and if we turn our course needle, we can line that course deviation indicator up with the arrow, and then we can turn our heading bug onto that heading, and then we can make sure that we're heading in the right direction. Or you can just keep it in mag and it will stay in the right direction anyway. But with course deviation, oh my Christ, with course deviation you can make small corrections and make sure you line up properly. So if I just get that lined up, I'm going to overshoot anyway. Get the heading bug there. As you can see, we now have a diamond, also like a waypoint marker, where the Ottringham VOR is. It seems to be buried underground, but it will take us to the right place, so not to worry. If we hit the miss and zoom out ever so slightly, we might even get the Ottringham indicator show up. It's around this area here, but if you hit miss it brings up the navigation beacons like NDBs, VORs, things of that nature. So if I go to Radio 2, not BBC Radio 2 but Nav Radio 2, and I'm going to put in Trent, which is 115.700. Click it first. 115.700. Just click enter. Okay, and we are going to flick this switch to R1. Just to make sure we've got everything where it is. And if we change to VOR2, as you can see we've got a course deviation indicator still. I can rotate that to the right direction. As you can see, it gives us a bearing and distance so that we can turn onto the correct direction. Okay, and now we can turn our aircraft towards the Trent VOR. As you can see, it's like 44 nautical miles away. Again, I'm not going to fly all the way there because this video will be too long otherwise. I'm just going to line that up again just to make sure we've got that where we want it. Okay, so 248. Take that down to. Okay, and there's the marker. We're coming onto it again, and we have a waypoint marker as we get close to the direction of travel. There we go, it starts coming towards the centre of the HUD, and you know you're in the right direction. So that's using VORs. So let's turn over to TACAN, and I'm just going to change the frequencies on this just so that I don't get any confusion anywhere else. 110.1, and I'm going to turn radio 1 back into 110.10. Okay, and we're going to go to TACAN 48 X-ray. Was already in, but we can go in, do it anyway. And what we'll do we'll switch over to TACAN here. Again, in OBS you can use course deviation to get to where you need to be, or you can switch over to MAG and it will just give you an instant and wind speed. So if we turn over, I mean, no matter what, you'll get a bearing anyway in the distance. 20 odd nautical miles away. And what I am going to do is I'm going to go back to Radio 1 in Nav, put in the ILS for Coningsby, which is 111.15, enter that, so that we're ready to switch over for the ILS. Get Autopilot up for that one. And you can also just follow, let the autopilot fly onto the bearing of your choice with the frequencies just by hitting the nav button, and it'll do it automatically. But I don't really see the fun in that. I feel like flying should really be, you know, flying properly. We are heading in the right direction. If you hit TACAN again, it will change the designation on the back end, or whether it's a Yankee or an X-ray as well. And then you can see we've got another waypoint marker pointing us to Coningsby, which is just there. And then I'm going to get the aircraft ready for an ILS landing. So we will zoom in. Right, that's over the top Coningsby. I'm going to change that to 1 X-ray, just so I don't get any interference. And I'm going to change that again to 111.150, enter that. And we have ILS pretty much plumbed in. Now I'm just going to use the autopilot to see it. As you can see, we've got a signal because it's letting us select ILS there instead of nav. What I'm going to do is just going to get do an extended downwind basically. We're going to go on 075. I'm just going to follow that out towards the coast a little bit, and once we've got the information pinging up and showing us distance, I need to get around about 10 nautical miles out so I can configure the aircraft. Change it to 070. Check that again, 111.150, yes. There we go, VOR1, 7.15 nautical miles away, ILS1, ICNY. So let's start turning in now. base leg. Start slowing it down slightly, down to 200 knots. Make sure we've got the landing light on. Where are we? Over there. Okay, start turning in again. Start heading in on 290. And we've overshot. Brilliant. In that case, we will go to 230. Okay. And now we are lining up there. I'm going to hit ILS. There is no auto throttle function like in the Typhoon, the all-weather landing system. So we have to now go glide slope. Start turning in a localizer in a minute. There we go. And then we're just going to slow the aircraft down ourselves. We can either use this auto throttle function, or we can use the manual throttle.
Landing gear.
Okay, gear is down. There we go. We are on glide slope, and we are on the localizer. So I'm going to bring the speed down to 130. Down to 120. Ready to take control once the aircraft is over the threshold. and the autopilot has disengaged. And we're down. Air brake out. Aero braking. Air brakes off. We are down safe. So that's navigation and autopilot in the CJ Simulations Rafale C/M. If you got something out of that, I really hope you did. Another video will come up with the extra functions of the autopilot, including the flight management. So that will be out at some point. Other than that, yeah, just go and have fun with it. It's a great aircraft and a lot of fun to fly. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll catch you in the next one.